Are there any questions from the brothers or the sisters here? Fadl akhi.
Just right before the end, you had said that you were going over the attributes, and the last one you said, the attribute of hatred. What is that? Can you tell me what that
طيب. With regards to the attributes of Allah and the attribute of hatred, what is that? As we said, Allah Azza wa Jalla loves, as mentioned in the text, and Allah hates. He loves the mu'mineen, the muttaqeen, the mutatahhireen, the tawabeen, and Allah hates the kafirin and the fasiqeen and the mushrikeen. That's crystal clear. Allah loves and Allah hates. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah hates those who hate Him. Allah hates those who disbelieve in Him and those who reject Him. Just like He loves those who accept Him, who obey Him, and who follow His teachings and follow His prophets and His messengers. And there are many ayat, let alone the hadith, in which Allah Azza wa Jal mentions this and speaks on this. Allah hating and Allah showing His wrath and His anger to His enemies. And Allah Azza wa Jal has enemies. Just like He has awliya, Allah has a'da. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Hopefully that's clear, inshallah.
Can you tell me can you name the attribute? That's what
Name it,
yeah.
the word.
Yes.
The hadith that we mentioned was bughd. Bughd. Sifatul bughd. Wallahu alam. Any other questions? طيب. Questions from Melbourne, Australia. Initials SN. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Mufti, I really benefited from your advice on fixing one's sleep schedule. Can you also advise us on how we can successfully get out of bed and remain awake? First and foremost, you have to have purpose. As-salatu khayrun min an-nawm. Prayer is better than sleep. You have to have purpose. You have to have drive. You have to have ambition. You have to have a reason to get out of bed. And you have to have a reason to stay out of bed. Secondly, wudu, ghusl. The importance of making wudu. And when Allah Azza wa Jalla says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu idha qumtum ila salati faghsilu wujuhakum. O you who believe, when you stand in prayer, wash your faces. Some of the pious predecessors, they said in the tafsir of that ayah, إِذَا قُمْتُم مِّن مَضَاجِعِكُمْ. When you get out of bed. Making wudu, the importance of wudu, the spiritual necessity of wudu, and refreshing yourself. And the Prophet ﷺ also tells us about the power of wudu. إِذَا أَتَى أَحَدُكُمْ ثُمَّ أَرَادَ أَنْ يُعَاوِدْ فَلْيَتَوَضَّأْ بَيْنَهُمَا وُضُوءًا. في رواية فإنه أنشأت للعود. أو كما جاء. Is that when a man goes to his wife and he wants to go to his wife a second time, he should make wudu between. And the benefit behind that, as they've explained in those hadiths, is that the wudu will refresh you, it will wake you up. Wudu gives you back your power and your strength. There's secrets in wudu. So the concept of getting out of bed because you have to get out of bed, because you have purpose, you have aim, you have drive, and then let that water hit your body. Make that fresh, crisp wudu, right? In which even if you're tired, no doubt, it's going to give you a little bit of what? Zest, to say the least, right? Brushing your teeth as well. The tingling of your gums. Nah? And I would advise for you to make for yourself things that you have to do. Make for yourself appointments. Make for yourself obligations that you'll be scared and ashamed to break or to renege on. After Fajr, I have a class, I have this, I have that. Force yourself to get up. Surround yourself. Wall yourself in with the ibadah and the responsibilities in which you have to fight your nafs. Wallahu ta'ala alam. AM from Manchester, UK. Should I stop buying books even though I'm still working on the foundation? For example, Fathul Bari by Ibn Hajar and Ibn Rajab. I didn't buy it. That exact copy won't be there again. No, buy the books, especially if the copy is going to be gone. Somebody else may benefit from the books, and the books may inspire you to study harder. Wallahu ta'ala alam. AG from Austin, Texas. Barakallahu feek, Ustad. May Allah make you among the best of His servants. What are some tips to avoid burning out when seeking knowledge? Pace yourself. And know for sure that knowledge isn't, as they say, luqmatun sa'iga, sahla. Knowledge isn't a morsel. Knowledge isn't a snack. It's not a bite. A fun size, party size, thing you just bite with one gulp. Knowledge is a whole process, a whole meal. It takes time to eat it, to prepare it, to digest it, to savor it. So pace yourself. Don't burn yourself out and realize that you can't get all knowledge if you wanted to. If you were the smartest, if you were the most hardworking person, you couldn't get to the bottom of the well. Bukhari didn't get to the bottom of the well. Even Muhammad didn't get to the bottom of the well. So just think about these things. Wallahu ta'ala alam. SL from London, UK. What are the walis of Allah experiencing kashf? Well, I don't know exactly what you mean by that word or that term, kashf. A well-known word used by different groups and different denominations among the Muslims, whether they call themselves Sufis or other than the word or the term Sufis. What's important is, what do you mean by kashf? Allah shows them things, inspires them to have intuition and foresight, a sixth sense, firasa, a righteous dream, a correct dream. If that's what you mean by kashf, then we don't deny that, nor do we reject that. We're balanced right in the middle when it comes to Allah's awliya and the karamat. Or you mean that the wali can know the unseen and see the unseen and have foreknowledge of the unseen? Then we say, la, abadan. That's a falsehood, nonsense, shirk and kufr, to say that and to believe that someone other than Allah knows the ghaib, as the Quran clearly states, as the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ what? Clearly states. No one knows the unseen but Allah Azza wa Jalla. So it depends on what you mean. And this principle is applied to many, many other statements and names and titles and terms that people use. And of course, as we mentioned in a long story with regards to the Awliya, we said this, and like any other aspect of Islam, there's going to be misguidance, and there are going to be misconceptions, there are going to be extremes regarding walis. And why not? It's powerful. Who isn't going to claim to be a wali? Everybody wants their sheikh to be a wali. The wali who's a wali, he wants to remain a wali, because the wali comes with advantages, comes with benefits, etc. As we said in the beginning of the class with regards to claiming that Allah loves you, it's dangerous, and monopolizing that. Wallahu ta'ala, what's important is the way of Ahl Hadith is a balanced way. We are not disrespectful to Allah's awliya. We don't reject the fact that Allah is awliya. And Allah Azza wa Jal can give them things and bless them with things and hand them things which He doesn't for the other servants, which those things could be miracles or out of the ordinary. That's not impossible. But at the same time, we don't go extreme, claiming this and saying this and staying away from the tangible, practical means of life. You get into a car, you put gasoline in the car. You're not going to get on the road and say, well, bismillah, we're going for dawah. Inshallah, we have the wali with us. We'll just, we don't need to stop to get gas. It's nonsense. But at the same time, if you're somewhere and your car is on E, not the reserve tank, on E, and subhanallah, you keep driving the car and you thought that the gas station was closed and you made dua, etc., 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 and you find a gas station or the car gets you there, mashallah. That's nothing to Allah, right? What's that to Allah? A car going some miles without gas. That's nothing. Allah is the most powerful. So we're in the middle, balance. Not extreme here, nor what? Extreme there. And that is the correct way of Islam with regards to all of those different words and terms and this and that. Wallah, MW from Birmingham, UK. Salam Mufti, if I become Hafiz of the Quran, is it true I can take certain amount of people to Jannah with me? What's important is that you'll be able to intercede for people. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. You will intercede for them. Allah will honor you with the ability to beg Him to forgive these people, to have mercy upon these people, etc. Among other virtues of he who is a reciter of the Quran. EA. Valenciennes, France. someone lost money spending in haram days, then it's permissible to ask Allah to have the money back so the person can spend it again, but this time in good ways. You ask Allah to give you better. Ask Allah to give you money. Ask Allah to allow you to use your money to please Him. MK from London, UK. A brother married after had got a sister pregnant. While she was pregnant, they made the nikah. What is the ruling on this? And what is your advice? What's important is it depends on the situation. First and foremost is people who have made fornication cannot marry unless they have made tawbah. Zani cannot marry a zani, zani cannot marry a zani. وَحُرِّمَ ذَلِكَ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, as the Quran clearly states. You make tawbah, different story. That's first and foremost. If she's pregnant and you're sure that it's your child, there's no other disputes, no other men are claiming that it's their child, whatever the case may be, and many scholars have allowed the man to marry the woman while she's pregnant, before she delivers the child and has postnatal bleeding, and the child will be his child. And that makes the most sense. As far as if there's someone else disputing, she was with another man at the same time, then that's a different story. Most of the scholars of Islam say that you have to wait until she gives birth and has the iddah. Wallahu ta'ala alam. What's important is you make a mistake, try to correct that mistake, try to fix that mistake. And let's be real and let's be honest. Just because you make zina doesn't mean that you don't love a person or you don't have a connection or relation with a person. It doesn't mean they're absolutely a bad person. You just made a mistake. You were a victim to your nafs, the shaitan, etc. So if you guys can make tawbah, if you can fix that mistake and make things better, bismillah. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Questions coming from MK, London, UK, or JA from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Should a student of knowledge focus on memorizing the Quran before learning other topics? Yes and no. And we've explained that many, many times before. There's a balance in that. Wallahu alam. MA from Manchester, UK. Can you help to understand the following ayah? وَمِنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ مَنْ إِنْ تَأْمَنْهُ بِقِنْطَارٍ يُؤَدِّهِ إِلَيْكَ. Yet in Surah Fatiha they are criticized. Does this showcase balance in judging people? No doubt about it. Ahl Kitab in general, are criticized and condemned. But it doesn't mean that there aren't people from Ahlul Kitab, called Ahlul Kitab, that are pious and righteous or trustworthy. It doesn't necessarily mean that. A mushrik could have some trust, could have an amana. Wallahu alam. AM from Brooklyn. Salam Sheikh, who in your opinion are the top level people of knowledge in the West? Next question. MK from London, UK. What should the Muslims' attitudes towards a leader of the Muslims who's upon clear misguidance? Next question. AB from Boston, Massachusetts. Mike Tyson would not be Tyson without cuss the motto after Allah, whose muftis cuss, or does one not need a mentor of such capacity? We have to move on to the next question. We normally don't take questions pertaining to personalities. However, if I had to make an exception, who's my cuss the motto, huh? Who's my cuss? Am I Mike Tyson caliber? A prodigy. A person full of raw, pure talent. And very interesting. And I'll say it, yani, hopefully no one gets mad or upset, but people, they're very oppressive to Mike Tyson. They look at Mike Tyson as just being a brute, just solid ball of muscle, Iron Mike, and that's it. But if you sit down, you read, you study, you watch, you find this very intelligent individual. And in my humble opinion, one of the things that made him what made him wasn't his strength and his skill and his power, but it was his devotion and his obsession to studying the art of pugilism. Boxing as an aqidah, quote unquote, a lifestyle. Watching the tapes, studying, a disciple. Right? Because there's people that are stronger than you, bigger than you. There's always going to be someone bigger than you, but hits harder than you. That's not the case, Sensei? There's always going to be somebody that's going to have more talent than you, younger than you. right? And I think, and I could be mistaken, I think this was Derek Jeter who said this when he was playing, okay? He said, you always find somebody with more talent than you, always. That's Derek Jeter, okay? He said, but no one should study harder than you. No one should practice harder. That's something that you can control. Talent is out of your hands. Work ethic is supposed to be something that you can control. So what's important is that individual in that field or that aspect of life is, there's something, talent, ability, skill, devotion. Are we devoted to knowledge? Do we study all day, every day? Do we have that type of talent for us to even say that we have a custom model? What's important is, for sure, if I could say many custom models in my life, many brothers, older brothers, some of them are sitting here in this room, many, that guided me, mentored me, showed me, a little bit or a lot, on one level or another. One level or another. I could never say that it was just one person that was absolute 100%. But if I had to narrow down a few people, I'm sure there could be what? A few. Huh, Sheikh Qasim? Maybe a few, right? That people that nurtured me and took my hand and finely tuned my direction. If I had to mention one person, I'm sure it would be Sheikh Musa. Am I making this up, Sheikh? Many brothers mentored me, helped me, guided me, no doubt about that, in this masjid as we speak. But with regards to Medina and College of Hadith, the love of books, the love of knowledge, the love of serving people, helping people, that was definitely something that I got specifically from Sheikh Musa Abu Su'ad. May Allah bless him wherever he is, whatever his endeavors are. And the older brothers, the old school, those who know, those who what? Don't know, then it's not meant for them to know. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Tayyib. Next question is coming from same questioner from France. What is the solution regarding Muslim laymen who disrespect da'is? For example, people always commenting why he speaks about this and does not speak about this, etc. Many of the Salaf al-Salih, the pious predecessors, they would say, Rahimallahu rajulan arafa qadra nafsihi. Allah's mercy be upon a man who knows his own worth. You know your value, act accordingly. How much knowledge do you have? A little or a lot? You have a lot of knowledge, the more knowledge you have, the more you learn that you're ignorant and how much you don't know. You have a little bit of knowledge, you should know that you should keep your mouth shut. And me talking about this da'i isn't getting me closer to Allah. And I will say this, especially about here in this city and around the world, because it's a global problem. But we're just talking about our city. Don't you realize that this brother, this imam, or this da'i who's this and he's that, whether you like him or not, whether he's a deviant or not, whether he's whatever he is, he's learned. You're ignorant. He goes to sleep tonight being an innovator or a misguided person. You go to sleep at night being upon truth and guidance, but you're still jahil. You're still ignorant. He's memorized this, he studied this. You're going to be ignorant next year, 5 years, 10 years later, you're going to be the same jahil. And his knowledge is still going to be there. What do you have under your belt? What have you accomplished? I'm a this, I'm a that, no problem. Tayyib, cool, you're right. I agree, I'm this, no problem. But what knowledge do you have? Tell me. Can you recite this? Can you say this? You can. So that, if you ask me, that should be more than enough of inspiration for us to just shut up. I don't know much. Let me just keep my mouth shut. And even if this person is a deviant, his knowledge is, he's forgotten more than I've memorized. What sense does it make me talking about him? Stupidity. And the energy, the time that you spend talking about somebody is the same time and energy you can use on learning and memorizing and studying. So that's a big problem. And it's much more than just an Islamic problem. But if you ask me, it's a mental imbalance. It's a mental sickness. It's a disease, a cancer in the brain. It's eating away at people's brain cells. They're not using common sense. What am I getting out of talking about this person? He knows the whole Quran by heart. I'm struggling with just Allah. Just fall back, bro. Chill. He's a deviant. He's going to hell. You're in Jannah. Alhamdulillah. Khalas. That's it. Let him be busy with his stuff, his misguidance. And you be busy with what? with your guidance. But how much guidance do you actually have? That's a serious question, right? So, yani, no one wants to be attributed to ignorance. As Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu and others would say, كَفَى بِالْعِلْمِ نُبُلًا أَنْ يَدَّعِيَهُ مَنْ لَيْسَ مِنْ أَهْلِهِ وَكَفَى بِالْجَهْلِ عَارًا أَنْ يَتَبَرَّأَ مِنْهُ مَنْ هُوَ مِنْ أَهْلِهِ. They would say knowledge, the virtue of knowledge is sufficiently established by those who don't have it, claiming to have it. And ignorance is sufficiently, the blame of ignorance, the nastiness of ignorance is clearly explained, it's clearly established, so much so as that those who are ignorant claim not to be ignorant. No one wants to be attributed to jahl, even though in actuality, they're jahl. And no one, or those who don't have the knowledge, they want to claim it and act like they have it. So that's one of, if you ask me, one of the solutions for this global problem. Layman people talking about da'is. Once you study as much as he studied, learned as much as he's learned, then inshallah ta'ala perhaps you can talk about him. And once again, for no one to say, oh, what are you saying just because a person has knowledge they can't. I didn't say he can't be wrong. I didn't say he's not an innovator, he's not going to hell. I didn't say that. But what is your rationale in talking about him? Enter. Layman, 9 to 5, average Joe. That's what I said. He's a deviant, that's established. Now, how are you getting closer to Allah by talking about him? And what knowledge are you gaining? Right? Wallahu ta'ala alam. Next question says, same question it says, UH from Long Island. Salam, I asked the Sheikh about bid'ah and he said that some practices are okay as long as you don't associate it with the Prophet. Is it true? I'd appreciate an answer. May Allah bless you. What's important is that if it's an act of worship, a means of you getting closer to Allah, then it has to be proven in Quran and Sunnah. It has to be something that was known and understood and practiced by the Sahaba. As Imam Malik said, rahimahullah, ما لم يكن دينا في زمن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وأصحابه فإنه لا يكون دينا إلى قيام الساعة. If it wasn't deen in those days, Muhammad and his companions, then it's not deen nowadays. Until the end of time, it can't be deen. As far as behavior, how you conduct yourself, certain things, etiquette of a class, one thing, that's a different story. That's not specific ibadah though. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Next question says, and of course there are many misconceptions regarding innovation, extremes, all types of fallacies regarding what is or what isn't bid'ah. Tight. All right, we'll stop here, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakumullahu khairan. May Allah bless each and every one of you. Hayakallah shams. Barakallahu fikum. Salams to everybody. Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam wa barak ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabiyina wa imamina Muhammad.